5% complete at this point. And then the actual Ukiah Valley Area Plan document is also about 75% complete. So the items that are kind of in progress right now is analysis of the greenhouse gas impacts. And if you'll recall, that's something new that wasn't even around, you know, the year and a half ago when we started this process, much less 15 years ago when UVAP was born in the first place. There's additional work on some of the water topics in that, and then EIR text, things that they're working on, traffic impacts, noise, air quality, energy use, all of that is going into it. And then just things that will be in the text of the draft plan. They're working on design standards, in-depth policy discussion, and any new land use designations will be defined and described because they have to be described somewhere, regardless of where they end up getting applied. So things that will need to be completed as we go along in the next couple months, final mapping, and then just the presentation documents and those kinds of things. So the timeline that we're looking at for Ukiah Valley Area Plan, and again, I'll have more specifics at the end of June. We're going to put everything down in writing and post it on the website. Originally, the hope had been to release the plan document itself as well as the EIR by the end of June, and we're not going to make that particular deadline, but at this point, we're slating the release to be at the end of July. And that reflects the additional work on the greenhouse gases and other topics. And then what we need to do is to reset public hearing dates and public review periods through the end of the year. But the same rules apply to that apply to the general plan. And so, as I said, you know, we're kind of just, first it's general plan, Ukiah Valley Area Plan, and we're just kind of going back and forth between the two as we're in the home stretch. So any questions on that?
Excuse me, are we thinking of having in the UVAP somewhere around, say, the 22nd or 29th, or are we trying to be specific? In
July?
Yeah.
The timelines that I'll have out at the end of June should give a more specific date, but yeah, I would say by the end of July, so hopefully that would be the 29th. And then we're going to need to set the dates that go along with that. So there may be some new dates that we need to look at in addition to the ones that you've got. But
what's the status of the July 29th workshop?
The general thinking right now is that it would involve updating you on kind of the strategic planning that we've been doing in the county, and that's when we're going to aim for the next economic development speaker discussion. So that's what we've got so far, but there may be a possibility of using that also for one of these.
For the raw, yeah, okay, thank you.
So yeah, don't do anything else, because you only have, besides Monday the 21st, you only have 2 board meetings in July. So, yes. Well, that's good. You only have 2 board meetings. Sorry, I used the wrong inflection. Okay, that moves us on to the housing element. The accomplishments so far have included a great deal of research and drafting and looking at incentives around the inclusionary housing ordinance. We've rezoned 44.5 acres for multifamily residential use, and again, 44.5 is the number that I have here. And again, the remaining acreage is linked into the Ukiah Valley Area Plan, so that's where the rest of that will come in. We didn't want to do that apart from the UVAP. And we've completed the farm worker housing and transportation survey and report. So what we're going to be working on now is to conclude the inclusionary housing ordinance discussion process, and to that end, we held a developers meeting, I think a week ago. The housing task force meeting is next week, and then we're going to hold a joint meeting of the two, the developers or providers of housing and the housing task force, and so that will be held by the end of June. So the expectation is that we'll be coming back to the board either in one of your 2 July meetings or in August with the proposed ordinance to move forward on that. Then there's some other issues around processing code amendments and meeting other finishing out all of the requirements from the current housing element, which we are planning to do. We are also turning our attention now to the next housing element. And right now, they're looking at setting the housing target dates, and the goal is to submit the new housing element to the state by the deadline in August 2009. So that means that essentially we need to start working on that as soon as the housing targets are set. So we're right in the midst of all of that, but the most immediate thing right now is following the inclusionary housing ordinance through to adoption of whatever comes through that process. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, Mendocino Town Plan. In this last year, and that's really when we kind of started working on this, we've begun extensive file review and started data collection, and the wording that is used, initiated field reconnaissance, and also met with folks at the Community Services District. In terms of the timeline moving forward, we will complete the data and data tables and the update of all of that by September of 2008. That's the commitment that we're making. And we'll be presenting that to the board at that time. And then you'll have an opportunity to look at that and